Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith filed an amicus brief yesterday. He was urging the judge to throw out Hunter's plea agreement because of all the new evidence and whistleblower testimony that clearly could not be ignored here at this stage of the game. Chairman Smith, good to have you with us today. What's your reaction to what happened today?
It's good to be with you, Martha. I think that justice is being served. When these two IRS whistleblowers came before the House Ways and Means Committee, they provided such a great amount of information and a lot of concern where they highlighted where they had been investigating. They had been the lead investigators in this case for the last 5 years of exactly how the Department of Justice had delayed the prosecution, how they delayed the investigation, how they divulged information to Hunter Biden's lawyers throughout the process, and how they were denied numerous opportunities to bring charges. I felt like that this information, more than 15 hours of depositions from these IRS investigators, was crucial for the judge to see this. The American people deserve to see it. This judge needed to have the facts from these two IRS whistleblowers who had been investigating this. I think today proves that hopefully, just because your last name's Biden, you're not treated differently than other Americans.
So you got some criticism for inserting yourself in this with this amicus brief. Here's Barbara McQuaid, a former U.S. attorney, speaking out on this morning on your letter. Watch.
It's not only unusual, Jose, it's improper. The executive branch has the sole power to bring criminal prosecutions. And so for legislators to get involved in trying to influence a plea hearing is outside the separation of powers. If I were the judge in this case, I would have simply said, butt out.
What do you say to that, Chairman?
I would say that I first sent a letter to the Attorney General Garland and also Mr. David Weiss, the U.S. Attorney, and I asked them last week to submit this into the official record because it is extremely crucial that the judge has full information. Unfortunately, we heard crickets from them. So, of course, we had to hire an attorney on behalf of the Ways and Means Committee. We submitted that information. But I would have to disagree with that attorney because, in fact, this has happened numerous times. Members of Congress file amicus briefs all the time in different cases, both criminal and in civil.
You know, another thing that stands out as we get more information about what happened in there during the 3 hours that Judge Noriega was questioning Hunter Biden, questioning his attorneys, questioning the prosecution, trying to figure out how was this deal even made, because she felt that a lot of the underlying elements were just unconstitutional, that they flew in the face of precedent. And she said, basically, look, I'm not going to be a rubber stamp for this. I think it comes across as if she felt almost offended that the prosecution and these parties and the Biden party, sort of made a deal like this in the first place.
She clearly was offended. She was also offended with the conduct that happened yesterday whenever we filed the motion. When we filed that motion yesterday morning, someone called the court and said that they were a paralegal for the law firm that I hired and that we needed to have our motion taken down because there was some accident private information, which was absolutely untrue. And guess what? It traced back to Hunter Biden's lawyers in New York. The judge traced it back herself. And at 9 o'clock last night, she ordered them to respond to the court or face sanctions. So she ain't messing around. She's very concerned about the process and the procedure of a lot of people in this case.
Boy, I just want to make sure everybody got that at home, because that is so egregious, what you just laid out. There were stories that started to trickle out late last night, early this morning, that the judge, Noriega, was unhappy about interference from the Biden camp in this process. And the way you're explaining that this was really, it was evasive. I mean, it was lying, essentially, if it is as you present it, that a Biden attorney called the judge's chambers and said that she was representing your side and that you wanted to pull the filing down?
That is what was alleged. However, I want to be fair. Hunter Biden's lawyers responded to these allegations from the judge, and they said that it must be a miscommunication, that one of their employees called the clerk, and apparently the court clerk was confused and that they would never try to misrepresent to the court. I'll let the viewers decide for that. And I think the judge is deciding for that as well.
Yeah. Well, it clearly set things off on a bad tone. What's your understanding about what happens now? And we're going to bring in some of the other attorneys here in a moment. But in terms of this ongoing investigation, and also you're a member of Congress, and we've heard from Kevin McCarthy that you're considering potential impeachment inquiries to get underway here. What's your timeline for that? What would need to happen for that to be enacted?
Myself, Jim Jordan, and Jamie Comer all have asked for 13 additional people to come before our committees because we need to ask questions, in particular about an October 7th, 2022 meeting where Mr. Weiss and Mr. Shapley, one of the IRS whistleblowers, was in. Mr. Shapley said that Mr. Weiss said that he tried to bring charges in Washington, D.C., but was denied. However, you have the Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland, said that Mr. Weiss, the Delaware U.S. attorney, has complete authority and there's no one above him. So there's 5 other people that was in that meeting and there's other people that knew about that meeting. They need to come in. We need to ask them straight face to face and get down. We're going to continue, Martha, to follow the facts and see where they lead. That's what we've done over the last several weeks in this investigation. And it's been quite unbelievable of the stuff that we've been uncovering.
Yeah, no, these investigations have been fruitful, to say the least, in the last several weeks. And it's interesting because a lot of people pushed back on Jamie Comer, saying that he didn't have the goods, and he kept insisting that he did. And now we have seen the 1023 that is a confidential human source that suggests that a bribery happened between the Burisma CEO and 2 members of the Biden family. So there is a lot to dig into here. And clearly this judge did not like trying to have sort of this buttoned up under her, rubber stamp. She wasn't willing to do that this morning. Chairman Smith, thank you very much. Very interesting element to this story.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, sir.